Alright, hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to adjust the TPS unit on a quadrajet carburetor 1981 through 1985, and I think probably 86 through 90-ish. 89 I think is when they stopped making them. Basically, on these you have the two sensors. You have that mixture control solenoid, that blue one up there, and you have that one that my probe is sticking in right there is the TPS, throttle position sensor. And I've explained in other videos what that does, so I'm just going to skip over that in this video and just show you how to adjust it. So, first thing you need to do is, you can do this on the bench or on the car. On the car, what you need to do is you need to back probe that middle connector, so connector B on the back of the harness right there. And I have these fancy little probe things that make it a lot easier to probe it without breaking the wires. You just sort of shove it up the back end of it, and it only took me a couple tries before I actually got continuity out of it, so those are helpful. And I got my hot on that, and my multimeter set to the DCV20 on there. And then over here I just ground this to that battery ground screw right there, and it'll do what it's supposed to do. The other thing you're gonna need is, so on a regular carburetor like this one over here, the throttle position sensor has a plug in it. Let's see if I can get this to sit down. Okay, right there, there's a plug that plugs up the TPS unit on there, TPS adjustment screw, so it doesn't like move around in there when you're driving down the road, because otherwise it will. And to get this plug out, you're supposed to drill it with a drill about half the size of that plug there, and then put a screw into it, or a bolt or whatever you want in there, and then take a needle nose pliers and rip it out. That's how you get it out. But on my Reman carb, it didn't have the plug. It just had a screw sticking halfway out, and as it turns out, it wasn't screwed in at all. I was able to loosen it with my fingers and take it out, and it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be all the way down here into the body of the carb. So, you know, I took it out, looked at it, and I found out that the head of this little TPS adjustment is actually this small. It's a very, very small, like almost microscopic. I said it's about like a 1 millimeter, maybe 1.5 millimeter bolt on there. And as it turns out, they don't make sockets or inverse Allen heads that small, so you have to get this special tool. But since I'm doing this on a weekend and I didn't want to waste the time waiting for parts, I made a little fabrication, and this can work with many things. I'll show you to it more when it's out of the car, but that little screwdriver looking thing sticking out of it there is actually a little electrical tool thing made for soldering kits and stuff, and I just used a needle nose pliers and crimped it on the end so it's stuck on the end of that bolt just enough to be able to get me to do this. So basically the way you want to do this is you want to turn your ignition off, key on, so you get this, and make sure that that's back probed right there, and you turn this screw in for sorry, I'm getting a phone call here. Anyway, you turn this screw in for to lower the voltage, and turn it out to raise the voltage. And what you want this one to say, this particular carburetor, is 0.48 volts. And I already adjusted it to make sure, but you take this and you ground it on that, and right now it's at 0.51. So what you would do with it, oh, it's changing a little bit here. Yep, 0.51 is right where it's at. So what you do with it is you take that screw right there, or that little screwdriver thing, and just ever so slightly turn it in, and then you check the voltage again. See, 0.49, and we want it to be at 0.48 or less. Really, the spec is 0.41. in between 0.41 and 0.48, and everyone says to turn it to 8, so that's what I'm going to do. But that's basically how you do it. So I'm going to adjust this properly here, and I'll show you the tool that I made for it once I get that out of there. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the tool I've got, and it's just this little sort of flat, I don't know what you'd call this. It's just a tube for wiring. I'm not even sure what you'd use this for. I got it from a friend, and I'm gonna have to bend it back and give it back to him. But I just used a needle nose pliers and crimped the end of it so it looks kind of like a, I don't know, rectangle or something, and just sort of slid it onto the end of that. So this will work. This is a very, very small, I don't know if the camera will focus on it, but yeah, it's a very, very small cylinder or tube, and it would fit, you know, if I didn't crimp the end of it, it fit directly over the screw and didn't even turn it. So you can do this with one of these, or you can use like a brake line. That works too. I've seen people online do that. But yeah, that's basically how you do it. So now what I'm going to do, since I've got my TPS sensor adjusted to the proper spec on here, it's all the way in there. I'm going to get a new plug, which I have lying around somewhere. I've got a couple of them, and pound it in there so that it will not adjust anymore after the fact. So I hope you found this helpful. There aren't many videos on YouTube about this. There was one that I watched that is a little bit more professional than mine, so I suggest you go check them out. I think their channel is called The Old Ways or something like that. I'll put it in the description. But yeah, basically that's the gist of this. I don't have me drilling out the plug because this is a reman and I didn't have to do that, but that's about half the battle right there. Once you get that little tool in there and turn it, you got to get to Oldsmobile's 307, the E4MC, which is what this is. If it's E4MC, it'll have ILC motor on there, and if it's E4ME, it'll have an electric idle speed control motor instead of an idle speed adjustment screw on the back here and ILC. So this is a mechanical system. The E4ME is a more sophisticated electrical system. But either way, that's how you do it on those carburetors, and the spec for these ones on the Oldsmobiles is 0.48 volts. I believe that goes, you know, for all of them. All of the E4ME/C quadrajet carburetors, except for the VIN H ones that came off of the 305 for trucks, I believe. The trucks that had the computer carburetor on there. The spec was 0.59 or 0.52 or something like that, to that effect. But if you have an Oldsmobile with a 307 with one of these carburetors on it, it's going to be 0.48 is the spec. The book will tell you differently, because my book, it'll say that the book says that it'll have the spec in it somewhere, right? It says right here. It says refer to figure 6C1-60, and I went to that page and it does not have the spec on there. So just for those of you who are looking for the spec, it is 0.48 volts out of that at the closed throttle position. That's very important, that the throttle position is closed. You don't want to have the high idle cam on or the choke on it. You want it to be, the high idle cam has to be off, and the throttle position has to be closed like that. So hope this helped you. Thanks for watching.